So Dustin, I really want to thank you for joining us today. Just so that everyone knows you, can you just give a little background about yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Dustin Stephens, I'm the Vice President of the Sage Construction Real Estate Division, essentially the commercial leader responsible for go-to-market strategies, working with our partners like yourself, as well as creating partner and customer programs. And really, for those of you who don't know me, I'm very, very passionate about the construction industry. In fact, I spent my entire career in the construction industry, from working on job sites for 5 years as I worked through university, and then after that working for large construction firms, as well as building materials manufacturers, until I moved to Sage in the technology sector about going on 10 years now. So
Congratulations on that. So, you obviously have a great background in construction. So where do you see construction companies embracing cloud technology over the next 12 to 24 months?
Well, that's right. Well, I wish I had a crystal ball and I knew for sure. But we've seen a lot of cloud adoption pre-pandemic before, and that was primarily on the operations side. So I think construction companies, where we saw where they're going to first step their toes into the cloud was on their operations, to help with that field office collaboration. And we saw that. And so what we did, we came up with an open platform for all of our products, so that, hey, if you choose any cloud operational project, that we're going to try and make it as seamless for you to integrate with our products as soon as possible. And then with going into the pandemic, construction, that really accelerated construction companies looking at, okay, well, what do we do for our back office? Now our back office become the home office, and how do we make sure that we have our people that are in home office access to that software? So that really started accelerating customers looking, hey, do I host my accounting platform? What's out there? As far as, okay, so we're seeing a lot of interest in what do we do for our back office financial solutions, that being that final step to transition their company fully in the cloud. And so I would just anticipate that's going to just continue to grow as this industry is ripe for transformation to the cloud. So that's the way we see it, at least.
When they're making this transition, what should they be looking for? What should these companies be looking for as they're making this transition?
Well, I would say first, sit down and what is your top priorities as a company? What are your needs? Maybe that you haven't even started with operations yet. Maybe that's a great place to start. If you are going to choose a cloud accounting product, I would make sure you choose one that has open APIs. So if you're going to want a platform that opens up to a variety of different, if you want to pick best of breed operational solutions, make sure that you've got a partner in your accounting software that builds integration so that you have a much more seamless workflow collaboration between your departments. And then this would be huge, but making sure cybersecurity is top of mind. If you're going to move everything in the cloud, you want to make sure that you choose a vendor that's security is a top priority for them.
Definitely, with the world changing, with all the things going on, security is definitely going to be important nowadays. So, that kind of brings us into the next question. What are the biggest challenges that you see going to the cloud besides security?
Well, I'm going to, after I give my answer, I would love to put it back to you, because I think you see it more than I do. What you're seeing from as you're talking to construction companies, the challenges they go through. But the number one, I guess, challenge that I hear time and time again is time. It's, everybody's just understaffed, trying to get people on staff. Getting change is a challenge, and it's finding time to disrupt the business, to put your business in a better place for technology. It's the right thing to do, but picking the right time and getting it and sticking to it can be a painful process. That's been some of the biggest challenges we've seen. So the suggestion we have is like, don't transform your whole business overnight, or maybe you want to, if that's what, but start with what's your priority list. Let's do this year, and make it a transition that's reasonable for what you guys are trying to accomplish.
I agree. I mean, you start talking to these companies and they start saying, "Hey, this, we want to move to this," and they're not just moving their ERP or their back end accounting, but they're having to move payroll systems. They're having to move estimating, all these different functions into the cloud. And what is the priority that you go through in terms of that? What comes first? And then as you start having all these different systems, I think one of the other challenges you start getting is to integration. And as you mentioned before, APIs are so important because you have different systems, your HR, your payroll, you have your estimating, all these different things have to communicate with each other. And then, you're going out and getting updates from your field. And it's so important that everything is communicating together.
Yeah, and that brings up another issue, is that data migration. What do we do with that data you have in your old system, getting it into the new system? And so that's really top of mind we're working on as well, is what can we, especially if we have one of our customers that are using, say, Sage 300, for example, moving to our new cloud product, we're working on tools that will make that data migration as seamless as possible. Because
It
we
was
know
awesome.
that's a huge challenge.
It is, because people don't want to lose any of that data.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's awesome. So they're making these changes and they're spending a lot of money and they're spending a lot of time. Most importantly, they're spending a lot of time. But what are the rewards you're seeing from these construction companies that have adopted cloud?
You know, you're probably going to say this is very simplistic analogy to look at it. But the way I see it is you're going from owning a car to having a professional driving services every day that you go to work. So if you own a car, you buy the car, you got a big expense, the traditional way you used to buy and manage software, you got to maintain that car. You've got to put the gas in the car. You got to wash the car. It's going to get older, and trying to get a new upgrade there's a lot of work to it. When you go into the cloud, that you're what you experience is dramatically different. It's like you don't have to drive anymore. You don't have to fill it with gas. You don't have to wash it. You get a new model every time. It's a complete new experience, and you put that onus on the software vendor that they've got to now, in this software as a service model, you've got to earn your customer's business every single year. So you're putting them they got a lot of pressure on them that they need to make sure that they're hitting enhancement requests. They need to, in order to continue to keep that. So it's really a win-win for everybody.
I would agree. I think the only other thing I would add is even security on top of that, because again, we're in the world of huge cybersecurity issues. And, as you mentioned at the beginning, and this relates back to making sure that, we're not going to worry about ransomware within our own network at this point here. Let the experts deal with that.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, I don't know how you quantify it, but talent and maintaining talent is tough for everybody. I know I was talking to a large construction firm, and a lot of the challenges they're going through, we're experiencing from a software vendor. So we've got, as we transitioned, 13,000 colleagues to a hybrid working environment or mostly working from home, we needed to give them cloud type solutions in order to do business. And that made, retaining talent a lot easier. So, another aspect could be is if you've got a software that supports a hybrid work environment model that's support, the times we live in, that will help retain talent as well.
Exactly. No, I think you got it. So, obviously we're talking about Sage Intacct here, and that has been the cloud product for the Sage CRE side. So what's the ideal client what's the ideal type of construction client that should be looking at Sage Intacct?
What's funny is we think we know what that is, and we did analysis. Hey, based off this functionality, we think it's going to be this, but the data doesn't support that to some extent. So really, when we look at it, we've been the market leader for going on 50 years now in the construction accounting software. And what we're trying to do is build a cloud solution for all of our customers through all the different types of construction companies, from a real estate developer, commercial general contractor, residential builders, production home builders, and then you name it, a variety of specialty contractors. And all of them have their unique needs. Some are very similar on the kind, but a lot of them will have their very unique needs when it comes to operations and the accounting that they're looking for. And so that's our number one goal, is to have a solution that covers all of those verticals. And where we are in developing Sage Intacct for construction, we're thinking, hey, we'll probably see it's a really strong fit for real estate developers, general contractors with our integration with Procore, And we're, as we're building the specialty contractors, we'll have more of that coming in the next, 3 to 4 months as we got new releases coming out. But what we're seeing is our number one sub vertical, if you will, is in that specialty contractor mix. And I think what we're seeing is there's a lot of companies that really embracing the top-notch cloud accounting that Sage Intacct offers, especially if you're a company that you're multidisciplined, you have different divisions, multi-entities, companies. It's a very powerful solution. And so they're say, hey, we love where you're going with the construction product and the functionality you're building, but most importantly, we love that technology and the accounting features, what you're going to bring us with Sage Intacct. And so that's what we're seeing there.
Well, and it's funny because I've been in the Sage Intacct partner channel for a while, and Intacct's been around for almost 20 years now. I mean, it's with multi-entity, it's one of the top products, dimensions, all that stuff. How did the idea of adding construction to it come about? Just out of curiosity.
Well, it's interesting story. So we've toyed around with taking Sage 300 or Timberline into the cloud for years now. And we started, hey, can we extend it for some of those operational products we talked about, doing time entry, doing some daily field reports, and extending, in the field that integrates back to your back office. And then the last step would be, how do we take that, 50-year developed functionality and then take it in the cloud? The reality was, as we looked at it, it would take a lot of time to build from the ground up and try to get to parity with our construction accounting products we have right now. And so when we acquired Intacct, we're like, here we got a cloud product that's already 80% of the way there. Not only is it just, it's like you said, it's 20 years in the business, and best of breed accounting software out there. And we just needed to take our 50 years of construction expertise and build that construction functionality on that platform. And they already had a lot of different functionalities in projects and other things that we could just build upon. So it's really what it helped us with is time to market, where if we were to build from ground up like other people may have to do, it could be a 10-year project where we can get to market much faster by building the construction functionality on top of a industry leading solution.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with the like the multi-entity, but even with the different books, like then you start creating your commitment books and all these different things. It's just amazing that, and that was native to the function. It's just now, hey, we just need coming up with an implementation standardization, and it worked. So, obviously needing to add, some things like cost codes and cost types that were important.
Well, and what's great, if you're a construction company, listen to this, just to tell you how important the construction vertical is to Sage. We're a global company, we service a variety of industries, but if you look at the construction, just the number of customers we have is by far our biggest vertical. So when we acquired Intacct and we talked about, hey, we think this would be a good idea, can we build construction? And then the ownership at Intacct, leadership at Intacct said, you know what, that's funny, because that was our next step. They were planning on building it anyway, so we were able to start already ahead. And the number one initiative we had was taking Intacct to English-speaking countries and building construction. So we were one of the top priorities. It goes to show you the confidence and the importance that Sage believes in the construction industry moving forward.
Well, we're seeing that with every release, and again, we hear this time after time, but there's 4 releases a year. Everyone's on the current release, so we're excited because the last release was awesome. But now this May release coming up is really huge because we have the payroll module coming out. What other things what other things that you're seeing as game changers in the upcoming releases besides the payroll?
Yeah, payrolls is huge. Construction payroll is complicated and stuff, and we feel like we're going to have a very differentiated position with our construction payroll that's coming out in this next release, as well as we've got Sage Intacct Real Estate. So the property management functionalities, we've got thousands of customers that use our property management functionality on our Sage 300 project. So this gives them a path to the cloud, and it covers that project management functionality that's needed. And then we also have, for service contractor, we have Sage Field Operations that handles work orders, dispatching, you name it. So if you're a service contractor, we'll be launching that this spring as well.
That's awesome. Well, we'll have to. I know our team's been playing around with the construction, the payroll, and they just been loving it. And they're like, man, this handles everything in terms of that for construction needs. It's not a payroll system that says, hey, we're going to make it construction. It was developed around construction. So it's been cool. Our team has been eagerly learning about that. So, as we mentioned, we're a reseller, and it's been awesome working with Sage. Um, you know, there's a lot of other resellers out there that are Intacct resellers, and that, when you're looking for a partner, what should you be looking for, in this area? So when you say, okay, I'm going to go with Sage Intacct, what should you be looking for with a partner?
Yeah, we've been worked through a channel for 30 years now. I'm not a historian at Sage, so a long time. That's just been around. And the reality is that if you look at it the way we look at it, it's our number one differentiator out there, is that as a customer, as a construction company, to have local expertise who have been doing this for 30 years, I would, if I were them, I'd pick a company, a partner who's one has a history in construction, knows construction. Potentially that's primarily what they focus on is construction. They can help you with workflows. They can tell you what your peers are doing, what works for them, not just in our Sage products, but we've got a big marketplace of partners. We've got third-party developers that they can really speak, hey, let's transform your entire construction company, not just financials, but we can help you out with workflows on operations, HR, you name it. So I would pick someone, I would pick someone that has that construction expertise. They've got ongoing training, events, things that just continually, because it's technology is never just going to dead. It's always going to evolve until somebody's going to continually be a partner with you for years to come.
It's changed. It's funny how the internet has changed the demands, and even in like the service, as you mentioned, the service industry, what people are expecting nowadays, that people are now expecting to know where their technician is, the exact time, everything. And those are technologies that have to be embraced within the product. And I think in the next 10 years it's still going to change even more and more. So you're absolutely right.
Well, not to go off on tangent, but we're seeing that everywhere. You know exactly who's making your pizza, when it's being delivered, how far away they are. You can try, when it comes to, I think we want to see that in our operations as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So the last two questions, and if I hear we mentioned COVID, we've excluded mentioning COVID throughout this conversation so far, but what has COVID done to the construction industry, besides people working from home? But what have you seen what have you seen COVID do to the construction industry?
Well, first I want to say I'm not an expert, so I'll just say, what we see from talking to partners like yourself, talking to customers. We did some surveys with AGC on what some of the construction companies have had to adjust with COVID. It's supply chain issues, cost of stuff, trying to compete, having to work in other segments. If you were building for commercial projects, you're probably gonna have to shift to something else because we're not seeing a lot of that. So you've had a change of focus in where you primarily build or construct, as well as what we're seeing. We see a huge transformation about the process, because it's, again, like I said before, the construction industry with technology is ripe for change, because you've got a lot of old technology, and we're one of the last verticals to start moving into this new cloud world and the digital transformation that we've talked about at other events that we do. And we're seeing that. If you look at the construction technology spending, it's the highest it's ever been. I think last year was double what the last year was, which was even higher before. So we're breaking records every time. So there's a lot of investment, a lot of technology going into this. So it's those are some of the things we see as some of these big changes. And I think this COVID pandemic is forced people to really look at how they do mobility and how they work in their infrastructure, their technology infrastructure as a company.
And I think you actually answered the last question, is how can these companies using Sage Intacct adopt these technologies? I think we've hit this along the way this whole time. I mean, again, it's people don't want to install things anymore. I mean, they just want to log in onto their computer anywhere.
Yep. And and it's just, you got to start, and you got to start somewhere. And it's I just say start with where you think is their biggest priority as a company, and be mindful of what your colleagues, it is some work to get up and running on a new platform, but choose it in bite-sized chunks so you can make it more manageable.
That makes sense. Well, Dustin, I really want to Appreciate, thank you for the time today. And I know that, a lot going on at the Sage Intacct level, and we're really excited. We love what's been put together, and we know this product is really, I mean, it's amazing to see where it's come over the last, several years. It's just, feature after feature, but also the commitment to, I just want to thank Sage and thank you for your commitment to the partners and making sure that, when we say we need help or if we need features, you've been awesome, really helping us out. And just want to say thank you from all the partners for what you've done and what Sage has done to really help us out and help our clients out. It's been great.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, and everything that you guys do and our customers. And one thing I do want to mention is, I get this question all the time in case anybody's listening and they want to, well, you're building Sage Intacct Construction. Does that mean I have to leave Sage if they're a customer already using one of our products, Sage 300, 100? Am I being forced? And the answer is no. We're still going to be supporting our products, but we're going to try and give you the smoothest glide path into that world that we know is going to be a game changer for your business, help your business. But we're going to try to help you get there in your own time and when you want to move. So
I agree. Yeah, I don't see our Sage 300 or 100 practice slowing down anytime soon. It's going to be, again, this is a transition, and it's going to take some time for both for the clients, and there's going to be clients that, in some essence, don't have to move. They don't want to move, and Sage and we are here for them together. I mean, it's okay.
yeah,
Not everyone.
absolutely.
It's not one flavor fits all.
Yeah, totally agree.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Stuart.